Hi, and welcome to another session at Femina and Grazia's Virtual Beauty Carnival. My guests today are here to talk about the business of beauty. Please welcome Pushkaraj Shenoy, CEO of Lakme Lever, and Manish Bhagat, Country Manager, India and Subcontinent for Coty. A very warm welcome to both of you, and thank you for taking time out from your busy schedules to join us this afternoon.
Thanks, Menas. The pleasure is all ours. Hi.
Hi. So,
hi, Menas. Thanks a lot for inviting. It's always a pleasure.
I'm glad you guys are here. We've got a lot of questions for you.
Yeah.
And I think we should just kind of jump right in.
Sure.
So, we're ticking back to a little bit of normalcy. But what is actually a new normal out there for, say, a salon industry? We're very well aware of how it works for a lot of other aspects of beauty. But since the whole salon industry is such a touch-feel business, what is the new normal like out there? Pushkaraj, you want to go first?
Sure. So I think you said it, you embedded it in the question itself, Menas. It's a touch and feel industry. And this industry actually rests on human touch. And it's not just the physical human touch, but it's also the emotional connect that exists between a therapist and our client, right? So I think COVID, and it's sort of the way COVID attacked, it attacked the very fundamentals of this industry. And what was good and, almost like care was delivered through touch, that itself sort of, became the contact to avoid. So obviously, I think we went through a lot of learnings. We went through a very steep curve on both learning as well as execution. And I think as an industry, we are a lot stronger than where we started. It may not show in the financials and the commercial situation at this point in time, but I can say on behalf of the industry that today we execute a lot better, many multiples better than we used to in the past, right? So for some, businesses or brands where we had invested in very strong SOPs or standard operating processes, very strong, like in Lakme, for example, we have a 70-member training team. A lot of our SOPs were single-use, mono-dose. We had gone down the path of sustainability from 2018 itself, right? So we had, touchless billing, we had, efficient lighting, water usage, and all of those things. And we were largely at almost 70% on sustainable operations. I think that really helped us, right? So if your execution and your processes were strong, you actually, adjusted to the new normal a lot better. Now, when we see customers coming back, obviously the number one thing on their mind is safety, right? And they will trust a brand for its safety protocols, the quality embedded in the entire customer journey. And we see that customers are willing to pay a premium or be more frequent when they trust that brand a lot more, right? So I think trust, or a brand I trust, has moved up on the need ladder, number one. Number two, customers want services which are time efficient and which deliver results, right? So while the need to look good and the need to feel good are balanced, the number of social occasions could have gone down, right? But still, the reason why customers go to a salon, apart from just transformation, is also to sort of, feel good about themselves. And I think that's quite there and coming back as we step into the festive season. But I think clearly safety weighs very heavily when they make their choices.
Right. Manish, how is your experience with your brands been?
Yeah. So thanks, Manas. If you see salon industry in general, so we are 150-year-old industry, and we have seen a lot of pandemic like this. The industry, as we call, is very, very resilient. And as Pushra did mention, the relationship at a fundamental level is not transactional, but at emotional level. Yes, COVID did impact, but again, because of the strong strength of the bond between the hairstylist and the consumer, I'm sure that it's actually improving. Actually, the consumer actually started realizing that their relationship is not transactional, but at a very deep-hearted level, and they are actually feeling the importance of stylist even more. Yes, in the shorter run, as well as there is a reset in terms of hygiene coming as number one priority for consumer. Earlier, she was just value conscious. Now it's like hygiene is number one priority for her. But we are realizing that more and more consumers are flocking back. Yes, it's gradual, it's improving. And the salons are also realizing that the importance of the client repeat purchases. So again, we see it as another pivot point for the entire industry. And as Push mentioned, I completely agree. The industry is coming out of it even stronger before pandemic started. So we are in a good trajectory. So long term, all the fundamentals remain intact. Salons will become more efficient. Consumers are willing to pay premium. We just need to provide them good services, good, efficient, quick services, as Push mentioned, along with premium products, which we always desired for. Beauty is here to stay, and I don't have any doubts from a long-term growth point of view for India.
Do you think you had to rethink some of your core practices to win back the confidence of your customers?
Is that for me or Manish?
It's both. Okay. All these are kind of, you can go first for this one.
All right.
Okay. So, I think we have been traveling on this journey. Lakme salons have been around for the last 40 years, right? So we have experience in the salon business. We understand the Indian consumer. We have 450 plus salons across 150 cities, right? So we really are out there, and we've been, working on improving our practices over the last so many years, right? So if you look at our Lakme Way SOPs, or you look at the safety and the quality in the protocols, the way we even select our portfolio. So we don't necessarily go to one brand and offer everything that the brand has to offer, right? So let's take our hair portfolio. We work with 6 brands. Our national creative directors curate the best services or the best products from across a range of brands. So some of these practices, I spoke about sustainability and, going contactless and, reducing consumption, only having biodegradable disposables and all of that, we had actually put in place across the last 2 years. And, fortunately, when, safety and health and quality suddenly comes at a premium, we were kind of ready for it, right? So, of course, what we went through is that we looked at global best practices. We looked at what brands like Dermalogica and our brand partners, Wella, Schwarzkopf, were recommending. And then we created our own stringent safety protocol. So there were 55 measures across the customer journey that we designed with the help of doctors, and we put it in, right? Now, designing it is like 20% of the job, right? Anybody can do it. The real challenge is, how do you get 4,500 people to understand the need for these protocols, understand how to practice these protocols, and implement these every day with every customer, right? It's really critical. So then we put a training program in place. We did nearly 700,000 hours of training. And I think the biggest find of this pandemic has been how people have taken to the digital medium.
Yes.
Right. So all the naysayers who said that, our industry is very different and we can't do training on digital, they all sort of forgot that. And everyone today, learns really well on digital. It allows you to sort of, deliver training in a small packet-sized way, right, at a higher frequency. So we really leveraged that. We had a very strong audit process in place. So centrally, our team here would walk through the whole salon, ask the team questions, and only then screen them and clear them. And this audit not just happened once when they started, but it happens at a certain frequency, and there is a certain cadence to it, right? We also introduced, because we understood that consumers don't want to spend a lot of time in the salons, right? So we, of course, we had a very tight screening protocol. We had single-use kits, single-use toolkits. We had, continuous sanitization. We had personal protective equipment. All that, I think, is the simpler part of it. But what we understood from our customers is they want quicker and more effective services, right? So then we worked with our brand partners. So with Dermalogica, we launched a 15-minute ritual called Face Fit. And it offers, there are 2 types. There's one which gives you immunity and the other one which helps aging skin. And because, a lot of people are exposed to the screen all the time and, sleep has gone for a toss, we also launched a new treatment called Eye Lift. And again, now today, these contribute to nearly 40% of our skin services, right? With TG, we created a ritual called SOS, right? Which is a 5-minute service which delivers, which restores the virginity of chemically damaged hair in 5 minutes, right? So consumers have taken to quick treatments, efficacious treatments, and they're willing to pay a premium for it. So yes, a lot of things, luckily, we were prepared for. And I think as an industry, those who are not prepared also sort of raised their game and got to that really fast, right? And I think when times are tough people get going. And also we understood the power of collaboration a lot more than the power of competition, right? So all leading players in the industry came together. We trained each other. We shared protocols. In fact, I'm really happy when Unilever has a global team which monitors this. And when we demonstrated our protocols to them, they said, "Is it okay if we take India protocols and then share this with US and UK and other parts of the world?" So it was a matter of pride for us that protocols that we had designed with our medical professionals went across the world, right? And therefore, I think it was a few things we had to change, but we had to strengthen quality, hygiene, safety across the customer journey. And our customers have paid that back. So when we did a study with our customers, 97% of our customers have told us that Lakme salon is safer than my house. Right now, that is a big. At one level, I think it's a good testimony, but at the other level, the expectations are so high. So we have to sort of keep the game going and keep it high.
Right. So, yes, of course, making salons safe and kind of inspiring your customers' confidence to come in is one thing. But there's also an entire business of when the customers used to come in to also pick up their favorite products that were available only in salons, which is, of course, which is my next question for Manish. How have you managed to kind of make sure that your products, which are so key because you know how you can be so loyal to those particular products, how have you made sure that these products reach those customers during the period that the salons were actually shut?
Yeah. So yes, it was a extremely tough time. The way we see it is the salon are the core partners for us, and it's our responsibility to ensure that their business grows and thrives. At the same time, we also are responsible for end consumers. So during the time, if I see the entire lockdown from 21st March till now, I actually split into two. One, when nothing was working at all. So in terms of salons was completely shut down, even e-commerce was not working, which is the first 40 days odd, if I had to say. Unfortunately, at that point of time, I think like all the brands, even our hands were tied. So even the e-commerce supplies were not happening. We could not do anything. As soon as the lockdown started opening in terms of e-commerce deliveries and all, so we dialed up our availability without discounting the products to ensure that there is fair competition and the consumer sees the right value proposition between the offline as well as online. And as and when the salon started opening up, we have worked very closely with them to ensure that they learn about new services, new like delivery services. So we have encouraged them to use models like Swiggy, Dunzo, as well as the local. So a lot of salons actually use their staff to get the product delivered at the customer's house. And remember, most of the salon consumer typically resides within 5 kilometers of the radius.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So what happens is we encourage salons. We gave them toolkits. We gave them enablers so that they can put it up on social media that yes, we are delivering home.
Yeah,
right?
that is.
So we enabled salons to ensure that their core audience or the core consumer continue to get the product. We streamlined our supply chain. We ensured that it's COVID proof. So we ensured we ensured that the product passes through the right checks, and all the people who are touching the product before it enters the salon are also like it's in a safe hand till the time it reaches the consumer. We enabled salons to come on the digital platform, create awareness. And third, and as it is trending, because a lot of people have moved back to their hometowns, right? So because they have moved away from salon, so e-commerce presence, which has been ongoing for the last 2 to 3 years to bridge the access gap which has been there so far. So we continue to make the product available with the right portfolio across the e-commerce platform to ensure that the consumer does not see any gap in terms of product availability. So these were the 3 steps which we did.
So we've spoken about e-com and of course digital, but how have you unleashed the digital medium to make it work for your brands during this time? Has there been that one super cool innovation that has taken the whole experience to another level?
So again, for brands like us, because we supply to salons, right? And so we have to have a very right balance between the emerging mediums as well as the traditional or established medium. Because eventually, while the consumer base is increasing, our first responsibility lies with salon along with consumer. So we have been, and we have to maintain the right, so while the consumer is the center, we have to make sure the channels by which the product reaches consumer is right as well and authentic, if I have to say. authenticity plays a big role, because one bad experience or one wrong experience with the consumer makes sure that she never visits the brand again or she never tries our product. So we have been, if I have to say, slightly cautious in our approach. We have been encouraging salons to do home services, which in turns actually increases their revenue. But have we explored a completely new medium like, let's say, Udaan, right? No, not at this point in time, because at this point of time, for us, the critical part is authenticity of the product delivered safely to the consumer. And we are not running behind the dollars on the table from a short term. We are here from a long-term play. So we will continue to focus on proven channels till the time there is a completely market disruptor which provide these elements of authenticity as well as risk-free service to the consumer. So we have not tried anything very spectacular during these COVID times.
Pushkaraj, I mean, you mentioned Dermalogica, but have you had to change or add any new verticals, product lines, anything keeping in sync with the current supply and demand of what your consumers and customers want? Any major changes in, say, product lines or verticals or any of that?
Yeah, so I'll take off, Mehnaz, if you don't mind, from where Manish left it, right? I completely agree with him that it is our responsibility to take care of the safety of our consumers and also our staff, right? And when we actually reopened after COVID, the first thing we went and told our staff and we told our customers was that your safety is our first priority, your beauty comes a close second. And we said, this is like a very bold statement for a beauty brand to make. And it's also a big responsibility. So everything we did, we evaluated it versus this statement and this commitment that we have made, right? And many customers actually called us and said, why don't you start doing services at home, right? A lot of our business partners wanted to do services at home. But when we evaluated it, we realized it's a huge risk that we are taking, right? It's a huge risk for our staff and it's a bigger risk for our customers, right? Because you just don't go to the customer's house. You'll travel between places. There are so many touch points. So we said, we will not do this. But just deconstruct what customers come to a salon for or come to a professional brand for, right? They come for expertise, right? And then they come for delivery of results, right? So when we deconstructed this, we said we can deliver expertise at home. So even when we were locked out and we were considered non-essential, we made calls to our customers and we did video calls, we did online consultations, and we told them what they could do. If we could send, so different markets opened at different times. If we could deliver products to them, we delivered to them. In 15 days, we actually set up a web shop, our own web shop. So it's shop.lakmesalon.com. Right. And from there, again, we could do both hyperlocal as well as, central dispatches to our customers. Right. So we did that, number one. We delivered expertise home. And we also said beyond our customer base, right, there will be people who want that level of expertise. So we started from our social handles every week, a beauty at home, and we do this by rotation. So we do a skin session, a hair session, and even a makeup session. And it's reached almost several millions of customers on that. We've been doing this for the last 6 months now, right? So that's one way to deliver expertise at home. You use the word super cool. So again, here I think we got lucky. So Dermalogica has a signature tool called face mapping. I think you have experienced it before, right? So this is an artificial intelligence powered backend, which actually does a scan on a selfie, and a customer can do it from her phone. And then it tells you what are the top 3 needs for your skin, your facial skin, right? And very fortunately, we had just launched it towards the end of last year, and we made full use of that to deliver a AI-powered, easy to sort of deliver consultation for our customers with Dermalogica at home. Right. And this was really super cool. And again, I'm saying we got lucky. It's not like we'd seen the pandemic coming and we had worked on it and all that. Right. It's many years of work, just timed well. Right. So I think these are the few things that we did. On the portfolio front, I told you about Dermalogica. We launched 15-minute services, the face fits, the eye lift treatments. On TG, we did SOS. But for Lakme Salon, some of our facials, we also created assisted facials. So it's a kit for facials as well as for pedicures and manicures, with the right equipment and tools, which a customer can get delivered to her home. And then a therapist will get onto the call with her and explain to her the steps of the ritual, and she can actually do this for herself. She can also assist
DIY of sorts.
That's right. It's assisted DIY. Yeah. So we said, our customers want expertise. Let's do this. And that we did from day zero. So we did it all through the pandemic. And then we are also delivering products and services. Of course, we are delivering quicker and more efficient, more result-oriented services. But for a customer who refuses to come to the salon, we are also delivering that expertise and the results at home. But we are not sending our experts at home because we just think it's not safe at this stage.
And that's going to continue, I'm guessing, for some time as well, including the upcoming, say, festive and bridal season.
That's right.
So is there anything that you have in store for the next maybe couple of months, keeping in mind that you will see a slight surge in demand for salons and things? And I don't know, are you all spacing it out? Because, I mean, festive is, yes, the next 2 weeks, but bridal may go on for another couple of months as well.
Right. So, number one, we have done walkthroughs of the safety in our salons for all our customers, right? And that gives them a lot of confidence. We've also done videos explaining to them what is a safe bridal journey, right? So a bride comes to the salon for a consultation, then she comes in for pre-bridal services, then she does makeup for the various occasions. So we've explained them what are the safety protocols they should follow and what we will follow to take care of them. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to launching new bridal looks, we've not taken a back step at all, right? So we've collaborated with Jade, that's Monica and Karishma. Yeah. And this Lakme Fashion Week, we launched our signature collection, right? The show was called the New School of Brides, but we've launched the Next Gen Bride collection. And we've also launched a campaign just 2 days ago. It's called Tyohar Wali Feel, Tyohar Wali Deep, right? And therefore, all the services which help you, look your best version in the festive season, right? So whether they're skincare services, hair services, the signature, hair color collection called Garam Masala, all of these, we've got some promotions on to sweeten the deal. And it's launched with a thematic campaign called Tyohar Wali Feel, Tyohar Wali Deep.
Right. Have you developed any new lines, any new verticals, anything that kind of came out in support of the situation outside?
Mehnaz, can you just repeat the question once?
So, okay, I'll go again. So just, did you guys also have to kind of come up with new offerings in line with the current supply demand in terms of making a change, adding something new on which you felt was more required as the order of the day?
So yes, broadly. So first, our innovation pipeline, the new initiative which we launched, typically has a longer lead time. So what we did was we did not held anything back. So in the last 4 months itself, we had 2 major hair launches itself, just to ensure that the consumer continue to get new and newer things as we speak. So just to maintain the momentum, just to provide new news, which is much more relevant to the consumer. On the second bit, which is much more pandemic related, if I have to say, as Push was also mentioning, that quicker service, safer service. So one of the strategy which we'll be pivoting around is the monodose in manicure. So for example, when you go for manicure, a lot of consumers are a little hesitant that, okay, the same nail paint was applied on, let's say, 10 or 15 consumers. So OPI, actually, we are planning to launch something called OPI Minis, which is a smaller bottle. So essentially, you come to for the service, the bottle prices. So again, the bottle will be open in front of you. It will be applied only to your hand. It will be given to you as a part of service itself. So it's like taking the hygiene level to the next level, at the same time, giving the consumer the much required premium or the most premium experience on nail. So these are the few packaging innovation which we are bringing to India as we speak. At the same time, on hair, as Push was mentioning, we have already prepared and deployed the quicker services so that the clients spend as little time without compromising on the quality or efficacy of the product. So these are the few innovation which we are doing. But on the product line side, whatever we designed for India pre-pandemic, we are not pulling anything back. We continue to invest in India because it's one of the most promising market in Asia as well as global. So we are the growth engine from a long-term perspective.
And what do you see happening in the next 3 to 4 months? Do you think that there will be a more regular flow back into salons, or you think you'll have to kind of, I know that none of us kind of have amazing answers right now, but what do you foresee? I'm sure you guys have better trends on the map than we do.
So for us, it's going almost in line with what we estimated, with definitely a margin of error of plus minus 5%. So as a company, you can say we are broadly more than 50% of our pre-COVID revenues, right? And that is what we forecasted and now as we get into the season, what we are expecting is that by December, we should be back to around 75 to 80% of the revenues. And by March, because by March, we might be able to just meet the pre-COVID levels around the previous March. The reason for that is people are getting comfortable with COVID. Now it's no longer a taboo. People are, and also people have realized that with proper precautions put in place with, let's say, chain like Lakme and other. So if there is sufficient, protocols being followed, the chances are very, very limited. And people are comfortable in terms of taking that slight bit of risk, if I had to say now. The maids have been allowed at home, the drivers are being allowed, people are traveling in shared cabs. A lot of stuff is opening up. So the mentality of consumer is improving, and beauty being such an essential item for them, they are a little more comfortable now versus what they were in April. And fingers crossed, if vaccine come, let's say by December, January, that might accelerate the phenomena a little more.
Do you know that during the lockdown, there were maximum memes on people and hair color? That was just, there were so many of those out there.
Agreed. But if you would have seen, so when we went to the lockdown, there were countries in Europe where the salons were overbooked. There were people waiting outside the salon to get into, or like the bookings were so high. And that clearly reflects as to what consumer expects and the role a salon a hairdresser plays in consumers' life. So I'm very, very confident that with the cases coming down on a gradual basis, like for the last 4 weeks, it has been coming down constantly. So which is a very positive news for India. So I'm very hopeful. And again, these are our best estimates. Definitely we can go wrong depending on the second wave. And if it doesn't happen, it's even better. But by March end or by April end, we should be exactly where we were. Just
where we should be, yeah. Pushkaraj, your thoughts, and with that, just closing thoughts on this.
So see, clearly, we need to focus on what we know and what we are good at doing and what consumers come to us for. We need to really focus on the in-salon customer journey, both from a safety point of view, as well as from the expertise and result perspective, right? And our team is fully focused on this. If we look at our net promoter score, pre-COVID, we were at about 60%. Today, we are at 85%, which means the consumers who are coming in are seriously delighted. And that's a big responsibility. So I have told the team what we need to focus on is exactly what we are good at and what our consumers trust us for, and more consumers will trust us, right? There are lots of externalities that we can't really control, right? Or we can't really predict at this stage. So second wave and, cases spiking and all that. And this is not a national issue. This is an issue which, one catchment can actually thrive and another catchment 3 kilometers away can actually really sort of get suffocated, right? So all we need to focus on is to give the customer a fantastic and an extremely safe experience. And then, of course, the rest, I think, will follow. If we look at the country, there are some parts of the country where we are at 90% of pre-COVID levels. And there are other parts of the country where we are at about 40% of pre-COVID levels. And all of them have their reasons, as in, the mix is different. The number of cases coming up are different. The location, could be slightly different and all that. So I think those are externalities. What we should really focus on is what we can do. And any small thing, any small Kaizen that we can do to make that experience safer or to enhance that experience, we've been adding it, right? So for example, you are served a turmeric tea in the Lakme salon now. Right. Whereas earlier, we would do green tea and black coffee and stuff that people really liked at that point in time, right? So I think it's the little touches that will really count. The need to look good, the need to feel good, and the social occasions to consume beauty are not going anywhere, right? So at the right point in time, you will have consumers coming back. They'll get more consumers with them. And I think the industry will be in a stronger place than we were pre-COVID.
On that note, thank you. You've actually delivered my final note. And thank you for joining us, both of you, today. Very, very informative session, and I'm sure all our readers and audiences are going to really enjoy it. So thank you for joining us and taking time out.